good week, good Halloween week. It's I'm sure there's a lot of drinking going on at places you guys are going. The places I've been this week, I haven't been places where people are drinking much, so it's been kind of a relief to be honest with you. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name's Josh, living life alcohol free. If you are returning, you're a subscriber, a member, thank you guys so much for being part of this group. I want to talk today a little bit about happiness. And this always brings up a little bit of, I don't know, reluctancy for me, maybe a little bit of, I don't know, insecurity is the word, but like it does bring up ideas about my past, and it doesn't always make me feel like great, like on stable ground to talk about it. But I think it's worth talking about because we, uh, if you drink or drank like I did, your drinking pattern was so destructive, and my drinking, all it really ever did was cause destruction. And it's hard to see that when we're in it. It's hard to see the exact impact that alcohol is playing on our lives until we give it up. And but that's a whole other story. That's kind of a whole other video. How to get through alcohol addiction, how to get to the other side and recover from drinking. But it really is important to give it a little bit of time so that you can kind of look back and exactly see the destruction that the alcohol is causing. It's like anything else that we use as a crutch or a coping mechanism with life, like eating, porn, whatever it is that is our hang up. Um, and it could be causing us destruction in several different areas of our life, and we don't necessarily realize it. I had a member on here the other day, and if you're on here, Josh, please let me know. But he said you need a moderator for this. For this, so my only options were to have no chat or have chat on, at least for this setting. So I want to be able to offer you guys to be able to chat in here. So, but if the comments do start getting out of control, I mean, I don't typically read. I can't read every single comment. Um, but if we have to go to a format where it's just me talking, that's fine. We'll try both ways. Um, but this is definitely a topic that's worth talking about. I feel like, and actually being able to share. Welcome, Java, and being able to share where we are with our sobriety, with our recovery, or if we're still drinking, our struggles with drinking. It's a place where we can kind of come and talk about, what our struggles are. So talking about this, I posted the video this morning. It uploaded at 9 a.m. for everybody. As always, I put the videos on usually a day early for members only. Um, and and if you're not a member, please consider joining. There's 4 different membership levels, but at any rate, whatever membership you feel good contributing, I'd surely appreciate it. And I hope I can bring value to your sobriety. That's my goal. Talk about my past, but also my experiences, and also uh, what I've learned along the way from other people. It's not just one, it's not just one aspect that we learn in recovery. We learn so much through other people, especially those that go back to drinking and trying to drink, and then when they end up coming back, 99% of the time people are regretful and wish they didn't go back to drinking in the first place. And that really solidified and helped in my mind when I first quit, that I don't need to try it anymore. I've already gone through it all, and I know that it doesn't work. So I know that I didn't like being, under the influence of alcohol anymore, and that was just what I wanted to try something new. When I first quit drinking, I was still angry and irritable. That didn't like just go away magically right away. It took me several months, and I was still on medication for my anxiety and my depression. I wouldn't say that I was a depressed person. I typically knew that my anxiety was something that I was struggling with. I didn't have like depression symptoms. I don't think. Um, I mean, certainly, I wasn't going as far as "Good morning, Ernie. Welcome in." Uh, I wasn't having severe like depression or anything, but my anxiety was through the roof. And for whatever reason, and if you're a medical expert, you can chime in here. The depression and the anxiety go hand in hand for most diagnoses. So, um, but I was on the Zoloft, and that was helping me. And but it didn't like I didn't really put like I couldn't really tell the destructive ways and where I was with because I wasn't able to create things right away. It took a little bit of time for me to start creating like the life that I wanted to live, to put action into motion and really start to use things that were good for me each morning and each afternoon and each evening that was helping me in my recovery, not just stay alcohol free, but to start building things and creating things that would lead to a better life, a happier life. I think maybe what's happiness to you guys? And if you please share down in the comments what happiness is to you. It's for me. It's kind of a I don't know. It's kind of a complex word because yeah, there's moments when I'm happy. Even as a drinker, there were moments when I was happy, um, and there was moments where I was content with where I was. But then there was also times when I was kind of just putting on an act. I wasn't actually happy, and I knew it. And but I didn't know what to do about it. So I just would continue that drinking pattern, that cycle. And that went on all through my 20s and my 30s. And I wasn't really creating anything new. And even though things were happening in my life that were good and that would make somebody happy and feel good, uh, I was still battling that addiction and still battling my drinking. Ernie says, I think happiness is knowing you are doing the right thing and feeling proud of yourself. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's so important to know that you're making the right choices. I mean, oftentimes when we're drinking, we know we're not making the right choice. And then to add insult to injury, that being under the influence makes us say and do things that we normally wouldn't do and say. So yeah, there's not a lot of things in that to be proud of, and that I think you're right. That is important, especially when we quit drinking. And you guys know that I started this channel based on my sobriety and my faith. I've shifted more to sobriety, but I have been like looking at my faith more as of late. I think that's just because of the season that I'm in. The fall time is usually a triggering time for me. So that is, and it's not triggering to like drink, but it's triggering maybe to start the fall season off with in August and September a little bit, uh, triggering thoughts of alcohol because of the places that I'm going, baseball games, just events where there's alcohol around. And lately, I haven't been going to places where there's alcohol around, so that's not really much of an issue. I did notice I took two long road trips, well, long for me, hour and a half away over the weekend, and I haven't done that in a while. And I realized on my way back the second day that these long rides in the country oftentimes lead me to like ruminate. And so I was thinking about things, not necessarily alcohol, but like things that I would ruminate on that used to trigger me to want to escape. And that was interesting because I felt like I was where I was supposed to be, doing what I was supposed to be doing, making videos at these places, um, spending some time like by myself. So, morning, Josh. Hey, I tried your suggestion on moderating this, and really the only option on the setting was to do either no comment or comments, and you can turn off the chat or turn off chats and no chats, or um, you can turn off the emojis too. So I left both on, but I'll just kind of read through the comments. Ernie puts in here, every time I quit, I get in a situation where alcohol is involved and I feel lame for not participating. Yeah, that is a situation that's hard to process. That kind of is something that as we grow in our recovery and our sobriety and our being alcohol free, whatever you want to call that, and it really has to be that we're 100% alcohol free to work on this. We can't really do it while we're drinking, but we can make improvements on our self esteem. We can make improvements on our our the way we view ourselves. So I get what you're saying. Sometimes it's uncomfortable to be in those situations and feel like we're not, like we're an outcast, like we're not participating, so we're different than everybody else, and we might be judged. People might ask us like why we're not drinking. Some people may give us a hard time about that and just keep on asking like, are you sure you don't want to drink? Are you sure you don't want to, and it can just become a situation where it's like, okay, so you fall victim to it. Those situations are like, you sometimes you have to just not go to those places for a little bit of time. Like, I don't know where you are with your drinking, but um for me, and I quit during the pandemic, so I had a good excuse to not go to places. But I didn't go anywhere until like 4 months after the pandemic started. So, and actually 4 months after I quit drinking, I should say. So I went from basically the end of April to like July, and I wasn't around people that were drinking. I wasn't really around people at all, actually, other than like virtually or maybe some neighbors or something saying hi or whatever. But other than that, uh, I wasn't around the drinking. But when I was back around people that were drinking, yes, it was difficult. My first interaction with that was we went over to my wife's best friend's house. Her and her husband are big drinkers. Her husband smokes weed and drinks, and but at the same time, like, he is someone I could talk to about um, my sobriety. So it was interesting because I felt solidified in my being alcohol free. At 4 months, I felt better. I felt more confident in myself that I could, see people drinking and not want to drink or not feel like I'm going to, stick out like a sore thumb if I declined. As time went on, I realized people don't even really care, uh, and I kind of gave credit to COVID for that because I feel like a lot of people like grew in their mental health during that time, and drinking was part of that. So I feel like a lot of people kind of looked within about that, and as time went on, I realized like if I wasn't drinking, no one was even asking me about that. Now I didn't actively go and participate in conversations about drinking. Typically, if I saw people drinking, I'd walk over to a different place in that room, or I would go outside and take a few minutes to myself. I wouldn't keep myself in that situation, especially if they're sitting there having a like an in-depth conversation about alcohol. Like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. To me, at 4 months drinking, I already felt better. I knew that I didn't want to drink. I didn't have cravings like I did before, And so I didn't really care anymore. Yes, I still thought about what if someone asked me about why I'm not drinking? And those answers come as time goes on. Like I never really had to answer to anybody, but uh, but a lot of my friends in my recovery group did talk about that, and they would just say like, "I don't drink." Simple as that. Like I don't drink. It makes it more difficult if you're around people that know you drank a lot or did drink, like friends and family that do know your past history. And if you're not drinking, there must be something wrong with you. Um, but no, I mean it's really just something that we kind of make up in our minds, and it's really it's not anything that it's not as big of a deal as we think that it is. If that makes sense. So Brent says every time I go into a situation where I know drinking is involved, I try to go with another sober person and always have an exit strategy. Best way I have found success in these situations. So yeah, that's great to have another person that's there supportive of your decision because they themselves are in that same position. An exit strategy is huge. Um, I will say that I wasn't uh, like I would say like maybe 90% of the time where we go to a function, it's with my wife's family there. Um, and I would go with her, and obviously she knows my situation. And if we went together, I almost felt like I had to stay for the entire thing, even if it was like she was there all day, 6 hours, 5 or 6 hours. And when I quit drinking, I kind of started to make this plan to where it was like, I have to be honest with my wife. I don't want to be there for 6 hours. uh, I just don't. There's other things I'd rather be doing. I didn't realize for 10 years. I mean, there were times when I was anxious about going over there uh, to wherever it was that we were going, or parents or brothers or whatever. But like, I wouldn't really understand why I was exactly anxious. But as I was getting sober and learning more about myself and what made me tick, I was like, man, like I just don't want to go over there for that long. So I started to just tell my wife, like, how long are you going to be there? Because if you're going to be there all afternoon, all day, maybe I'll just drive myself and hang out for a couple hours and then head out. And ultimately, that's kind of what I did. Now she didn't like that. She was always like one that wanted me to make friends with her brother, make friends with everybody there, and spend time with them, even like when she wasn't there. And yeah, they're all great people. But there's not a lot of common ground, I don't think there. So it's not like I was ever gonna do that in the first place. So to come right out and like be honest about how I felt about that was tough. But it was one of those things that as I quit drinking and started to be more self confident, um, gain more self esteem, um, find things that I like to be doing, like so I would say if I was going to be going over there, I'd be like, I'm just going to hang out for a couple hours, and then after that, I'm going to go do something that I enjoy doing because this is the weekend or whatever, and I don't necessarily want to spend all my time there, so I'm going to go do this or that or whatever. And she was, I don't think she liked it at the beginning, but it just became like a normal thing. And the exit strategy was huge, especially at that time. Like you say, Brent, uh, maybe I'm not going to leave, but because a lot of that has a lot to do with my need to escape situations. Um, I still am like kind of like that. Like I'm not really into social like get-togethers. Uh, but and so yeah, a lot like I would use alcohol a lot of times to help me with those situations. And now that I don't have that, uh, if I feel uncomfortable about something, about a conversation or about things that are taking place there or whatever, I might not just want to run away, but I'll take a walk outside or go out on the like deck or down by the lake where they live, or if I'm at if I'm at another place, I might just go outside, take 10 minutes. A lot of times, I would reach out to my sobriety group while I was doing that, and because a lot of us struggle with that same thing, uh, going to like social events. Um, and it wasn't until like these weren't like big things in the first year, but as time went on, I started to experience more things where alcohol was involved. And yeah, I did need to use the tools that I had um, at my disposal that I learned over that first year, but even into the year two and year three, use those tools to uh, to get through those occasions, but not feel like I needed to run away. I noticed when there was a couple things in year three and year four. One was my sister in law got engaged, and there was champagne being brought out, and I was like, oh man, what do I do about this? And I was squirming for a little bit of time, like, oh man, what am I gonna say? Am I gonna be asked about it? And my mother-in-law started to hand me a glass of champagne, and I said, no, I'm all set, and I just kind of kept walking. And I was like, oh man. Uh, and I could hear her say, like, he doesn't want any. And I was pretty uncomfortable, I'll be honest. And so, but I just was like, whatever. But later on, I told my wife about it, and I was like, man, she didn't seem to like she asked me again later, are you sure you don't want a glass of champagne? And I'm like, man, she's not letting this go. Like, but I had to laugh because it's so funny because people get so um I'm not saying she did, but people in general, we get so accustomed to like these traditions. Like you have to have a glass of champagne toast for these occasions, like a wedding or a engagement party or whatever. And like it's just it's really not normal. Like it's not normal. I don't want to normalize that. So I quit drinking, and sometimes I do feel like the outcast, or the one that doesn't participate in the drinking, and maybe they're judging me or whatever. But at the same time, I've normalized that you don't need to do that. I mean, I can have a toast with a glass of sparkling water, or sparkling cider, or just water, or whatever, or orange juice or whatever. Um, I don't really need that or want that, and I feel like that would be kind of nice to. And I don't think that it's ever really going to be possible, but be in a situation where we're at these places and people um, aren't drinking. So we got to the wedding, and of course, the booze. There was an open bar. They had a bartender and everything, and I kind of was like, man. And it was the first time I was going to stand up in a wedding, like be part of the wedding party, um, and be a groomsman. So I was like, kind of nervous about that. Like, what was going to be expected of me? Am I going to have to, um, like toast? And is anybody even going to like care? Nobody cares. Like nobody really cares that you don't drink. I honestly, I don't even know that anyone even asked me at this point anymore. So it ended up not being a thing. It was like I worried for nothing. I was like halfway through the party, kind of like, and I was like, I took a break from there, went off and put a post on my sobriety group and was like, this is fun. We're having a great time. Nobody's even like concerned about it. I look around and I kind of watch people drinking, my loved ones, and I'm not going to judge, but at the same time I kind of feel like, it's their loss. They're not problem drinkers or anything that I know of, but certainly there are people that are problem drinkers, and to those people I would think, man, it's like, yeah, it looks like they're having fun right now, but how are they going to feel later when they're, saying stupid shit, doing stupid shit, texting, making calls, things that they're going to regret, and then waking up feeling like crap, and having that hangover. And for me, I enjoy the authentic conversation at a place. I have those conversations. I'm present. I'm there. I leave there on my own volition when I want to, and then I go do my thing. Have a great rest of my day, and I wake up in the morning and I feel good. And I have my coffee, and I do my normal routine. I'm not rolling out of bed, feeling terrible, like I'm destructing, I'm destroying uh, my life, like I did all those years, and that's, I think that just, it's like a snowball effect. The more you make these choices, these good choices, and on this video I call it create. You know, happy people create things. Uh, they don't destroy things. It goes hand in hand. Like, you know, and I talked about it in the video. I think we all have a different idea of what happiness is. Uh, and sometimes when I talk about it, I kind of feel like, you know, am I really happy? uh, but the thing is like, I think it's just a state of mind. You guys know, I kind of, if you've been following my channel, I've been kind of, I don't like follow Tony Robbins a lot or anything, but I watch like a short of his or maybe even a video of his every now and then. And I love it when he talks about the state. Like, it just, like, if you want to be in a good state of mind, like, that's up to you. You don't have to be in that destructive state of mind where those thought patterns and those ruminations are tearing you down and holding you back, and have that voice inside you telling you that you're not enough, and you need this to escape, you need that to escape, you need all these things. It's a state of mind. And as annoying as it is to call that voice out, because I still have to call that voice out daily. um and that's honestly why I start my day with prayer, with thankfulness, with gratefulness, with like things that I need to shift and focus my mind on the things that I have that I appreciate, the things that I have going on. And if there's things that I'm struggling with, I can get that out and say what it is. I can pray over it. You know, I don't start things without praying over it, because not everything's going to go my way. Uh, so all these things, they play a role, and I feel like happiness can be a state that you're in, and it can last as long as you want it to last. Um, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't take work to stay there. You know what I mean? And that can be scary for people like us that leaned on alcohol all that time, or even are still leaning on it. That can be hard for us to grasp, and it can be uncomfortable to face those things, um, to to look at them and be honest about them, be honest with ourselves, and and think about it, and talk about how it makes us uncomfortable, and sit in it, and whatever it is that you do to reconcile that. For me, it's prayer, but I mean, maybe it's different for you. um, but whatever it takes, if you're willing to do that, you will get to the other side. It might not happen right this minute, it might not happen today or tomorrow, but the more we focus on those things that we want, that we strive for, that for me, like I say, I do things for God, for God's glory. Uh, so but when I do that, I benefit. So I feel like I get the things that I want, but like God wants that for me. He wants me to be happy. Um, and maybe it's, you call it the universe or your consciousness, or whatever you call that. But I'm grateful that I have that consciousness, that I can work on that stuff, be aware of it, and being aware is the first thing that we need to focus on. If we notice that something's bothering us, um, rather than stay in that thought pattern, that destructive thought pattern, the ruminations, those things that are making us feel bad, the more we stay in that and don't do anything about it, the the longer we're just going to uh, continue in that. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's not. I don't know that, like, sometimes I feel like it's not what people want to hear. Like like happiness, it takes work. Um, like, we're not just gonna wake up all of a sudden and we don't drink and we're happy and everything's all roses and it's great. Um, and I think sometimes that can be disappointing. Um, and I just kind of laugh because, like, even now, like, when I put that all into perspective, it's been so long since I've been in therapy or anything like that. But I used to struggle with this so bad, and and it's like I would always think about all the things that were going wrong in my life. I would always think about all the things that I regretted, or that I wished I could make a different choice. I always thought about, like, things that happened decades ago. I would talk about that, and there was never really a way to get out of it. I don't know, like, it wasn't like it just happened immediately. It took several years, and like I said, some things still crop up, but, like, I'm able to kind of put them in place better than I used to. And as annoying as it is, I can quiet that voice. And I actually talked about this in the video that I posted today, and that I did, like, maybe a few months after I started the channel. And I talked about that voice in our heads, the one that, like, causes us anxiety, and how I read somewhere, like, maybe 4 or 5 months after I quit drinking, I read somewhere that they name their inner voice, that inner voice that's, like, tearing them down, making them anxious. So I thought, man, I'll try that. I should try that, and I had to really think about this, because I never really had bullies. I never really had, um, well, I guess if you, and I guess if you want to really, if you really want if you really want to know, and I've talked about this too, but not a lot, but, like, um, I I posted that picture the other day of something that resonated with me. It was our first bullies, our parents that are yelling at us. It was like the picture of their dad, like, pointing at him, yelling, and the kid kind of just curled up in a ball, like, crying. And I thought, man, that really struck a nerve with me. I quit drinking because I felt like I was becoming my dad. And I always gave my dad a bad rap, because he was coming down on me all the time, and never really accepting me for who I was. And he's not my biological dad. He was the guy that was there for me most of my childhood. My Him and my mom met when I was 3, and they were together till I was like 14, and they got divorced. But anyway, uh, he was a provider. He provided for us, financially, but not emotionally at all. There was no way that he could help emotionally because he wasn't emotionally mature. So, but thinking about this, okay, so I could say my dad bullied me, I guess, but like I wasn't going there. But I thought about this kid in basketball camp when I was like 10 years old, and his name was Howie, and he and his friends were like picking on me for the first few days and of that basketball camp. And every time I saw him, he kind of reminded me of that kid from A Christmas Story when Ralphie was and his brother were walking to school, and that kid with the raccoon hat, the red hair, like the braces, that would jump out at him and start bullying him. This kid Howie reminded me of that kid. Although he wasn't, they weren't beating me up, but he was a lot smaller than me. But his words still like ate away at me. But I'd go out there and I'd beat him on the basketball court, but it still wasn't satisfying my uh, self esteem. So when I got home at the end of the week, I started like wailing on this pillow on our on my on our couch. It was like an end pillow. It was like the perfect pillow. It was like long, and it was old and it was easy to beat on. But anyway, I was beating on it and I was like, "Mom, is it okay if I use that pillow as Howie to beat him up?" She's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead." And at least that's how I remember it. And anyway, that lasted a little bit of time and then I got over it, but eventually went back to school and stuff, but that was like a summer camp. But I never forgot that, and even like recently, I told my wife, well, not that recently, but like when I first quit drinking and stuff, I told my wife about Howie and how I named that inner voice Howie and told her the story, and she said, your mom, man, your mom didn't get you into therapy. She was just okay with you beating up on a pillow." And I was like, yeah, I mean I guess that's just how we did it back then. At least that's how we did it. It doesn't seem like therapy for kids became a thing until at least till I was an adult. But yeah, that's how we handled it. But every time I'd have this voice in my head, this was like I said, about 5 months into my recovery, I was like, "Fuck you, Howie," you know, "Fuck you, Howie." I would always, I would always just start to swear off Howie. And I realized that the first like 3 or 4 days I was doing that like multiple times a day, 100 times a day, like nonstop. Like I was having these thoughts multiple times an hour, and I'm like, damn, that's serious. And I've been living with that for this long. I didn't realize that. And like I said, maybe like the first like week, I called it out all the time, all day, every day. And then after that, it was a few times, maybe a dozen times a day. And then after like a couple of weeks, it was like not at all. And I think it took that practicing that. And as frustrating, as annoying as it was kind of funny at the same time. And so I don't know if you guys have anybody or any name to your voice that you have that helps you. Um, but we'd love to hear it in the comments. But yeah, that was like the beginning of noticing that I'm creating something and becoming a creator, not a destroyer. And also, I never realized how much I was destroying not just myself, but I was tearing down. And I took joy kind of in when I would see people's lives not work out for them, like when things didn't go well for them. I almost felt like a sense of like not joy, but a sense of like relief that look, see, it doesn't work out for them either. Things seem to always work out for them, but it's not this time. And they know what it feels like, and kind of take, I guess, take pleasure in it. But Uh, but I didn't want to feel that way anymore, you know? And I know that I felt that way because hurt people hurt people. You know, I was hurt. I wanted other people to hurt. I wanted to, you know, I just felt like that was the normal thing. And, and then, like I said, like 4 or 5 months into it, and I was calling out that voice, and I had my last real like lash out, and it just ultimately it made me feel like, man, I blow things out of proportion so bad that it's becoming funny. It's almost like I kind of felt like I was kind of looking down on myself from above and laughing at myself like it's ridiculous how you're acting over these minute little things. uh and from that point forward, I felt like I didn't really take everything so seriously. I didn't take myself so literally. I was able to kind of, um, not laugh at myself, but like instead of feeling like the joke is on me all the time, I didn't feel like that was the case anymore. I didn't feel like I was just some little like pawn in this game of life that was just meant to go through life being like treated maybe like a doormat, like treating myself like a doormat, um, making myself, just making up all these stories in my mind that I can't handle anything. And yeah, it was from that point forward that I was able to kind of start to build on that. Now, other things came later, and I can get into that at another time. But um, caring what people think so much came later. I needed to work on that, like year 3. That was something that I really needed to build or work on. And then also another one was my need to escape things. I was still looking for a way to escape those uncomfortable feelings that I was having a lot. Maybe not every day, but I was certainly still struggling with my responsibilities as a dad, as a husband, as a provider. Uh, I was still struggling with those things, and sometimes I felt like, man, I just need to get away. And I started to, I always kind of thought about using weed or using mushrooms or using something. And then I started to think about taking trips places and going these places by myself. And then I started to think, well, when I come back from to reality from any of this stuff, I'm still going to have to face what it is that I'm trying to run away from. So that was eye opening, and then it helped me to start to embrace the things that I do have. And like I said, my faith played a role in that. Uh, I had been growing in my faith during that period of time, so it was massively helpful to have that, and then to lean on that when I needed to, because then prayer became more prevalent in my life. Scripture became more prevalent in my life, and then I was able to start growing from there. But before that, I was always very reluctant uh, to to lean on that, and that was just because I didn't really truly know myself. I didn't truly trust myself or trust other people, trust God. I didn't trust, you know. So all these things kind of came in time, but um, but it's important to stay alcohol free, like 100%, so that you can really see the fruits of your work. And like you said earlier, being proud, um, Ernie, being proud of that. And I was gonna say, since I'm, in scripture, and they talk about not being prideful and this kind of thing. I think it's different. I think if you're using this being proud of yourself as a tool, like we all need a pat on the back sometimes, and we don't get it. So we have to pat ourselves on the back. and we have to give ourselves grace, and we have to be, and like I say, for me, God wants me to have those things, so it's coming from God, but it's also it's God that's giving me that voice. It's not the devil voice that was always there winning out as a drinker, and even into the first few months of my recovery. That voice doesn't get to win anymore, and that voice is insidious. I mean, um it creeps up on you. It doesn't come right out and say, "Hello, you know, here I am. I'm back, and how are you doing today?" It's like it creeps in, and it starts by just asking these like little basic questions, like, or making these like observations, and telling you what you need to do. But it's not, but those things aren't good for you, and you know where they lead, and you know that because you quit drinking, and you quit focusing on that, and you quit uh, the destructive thinking patterns, and you learn things that you like to do, that bring you joy, bring you happiness, bring you solace, and you can decipher the difference between the voices now. So it doesn't have to come right out and say hello. You know when that voice starts holding you back, that you need to put it in its place, and you can replace that, and then you can focus on what it is you want and what it is you need. And that's creating, and that's not destructive, and that's not destroying. You're destroying that voice, and it doesn't like it, but it's got to get used to it. So that's what I got for you guys today. Java, 69 days. Congratulations. That is, I mean, that's a lot of time. That's when I was around when had my last big urge to drink. I don't know if you have any issues with that or not, but like, you say the past few days were rough, and you were tempted to drink, but just take solace in the fact that if you make it through that urge, each of these urges, reach out to us on YouTube here, on this forum, or join. I'm not sure if you're part of my Facebook group, but in all my videos, I pin the link to Sobriety in the Storm, my private Facebook group, in the comments. Click on there and join there, and post when you're having these urges. I'll be there. Uh, if I'm not able to comment because I'm at work or something, there's other people on there that will be able to comment. We're up to about 70, I think 65 or 70 members on there now. So there's going to be somebody on there that can help you get through that urge. But if you get through these urges, each one, you'll be stronger for the next one, because you're solidified in your mind that you're going to do this, and you're going to keep uh, adding to these numbers. For me, at 69, so you're at 2.5 months. I was striving for 90 days. I'm a huge numbers person, so I was always looking at the milestones. Like, I want to reach that goal, and I'll get there any way possible. But it's not always about the number. It's about each day, but each urge to drink, and then getting through that urge. Reach out to the sober group. Reach out to a friend. Uh, get through that urge, because they don't always last very long. I mean, for me. I mean, if I got through that first hour, I was better, and I was on to doing something else. But that's because I had already strengthened my muscles in there, and already built new like neural pathways, and leaned on those other things, like taking a hike, taking a walk with my dogs, posting on my sober group, talking to my wife. Um, Therapy was weekly, so I couldn't lean on that until the week's end. So I couldn't always do that, but I would jot that down and make sure that I brought it up on my next therapy visit if I wasn't going to be able to remember it. And we always think we're going to remember this stuff, but a lot of times we kind of forget about it. But it's important to address each thought that is um, giving us reason to want to drink alcohol. It's not necessarily the alcohol that we want; it's an escape that we want. And I did like the taste of beer and whiskey and other things, wine, whatever. But at the same time, I didn't like it enough to go back to it. Uh, it was because I was seeking an escape from these guilty feelings, these shameful feelings, maybe even. But it's getting through each of those things, talking about, and then actually like putting your best foot forward to get through the next one and the next one after that. That you'll be able to get to where you want to go. And I don't know what your ultimate goal is. I still don't say that I'm never going to drink. Um, I don't have any desire to drink. I mean, I spent 27 years in it. I felt like that was plenty of time. I went through the good, the bad, and the ugly with it. I got to the end. I didn't like my behavior. I didn't like my anger and irritability. I wanted to change that. I wanted to change my life. I wanted to have a better life. And I've experienced what it's like to not drink, and I don't see going back to it. But like I said, I don't know what life's going to throw at me. I don't know, what's going to happen in the future. Uh, I do know that I'm getting older, and every day is different. Every day, sometimes I'm in pain about something or tired or whatever. But I know one thing: that alcohol is not going to make that better. And so I just get through it by doing the best I can, stretching, taking a Motrin or Tylenol, prayer, and talking it out. I don't need to talk out my feelings, thankfully, as much as I used to. Uh, every now and then I'll jot something down or something like that. I make these videos. I think that's plenty enough for me to stay where I'm at, and also help you guys, help whoever it is that needs support, needs encouragement, needs motivation. I've been through pretty much all of it, and yeah, I don't plan on going back. So yeah, take solace in the fact that you're here. Congrats on 69. Let's make it 70 tomorrow, Java. And wherever you guys are with your journey, please take some time to watch my video that I posted today. And of course, I'll have another one out on Sunday. Probably do a live stream at this point every Wednesday, but we'll see how it goes. Um, and other than that, yeah, just consider becoming a member, or giving a super thanks to support the channel. I put buy me a cup of coffee on there. You can donate in that way if you'd like to, but I'm going to continue making, free stuff all the time. So you don't have to worry about that. But whatever it is you want to contribute to keep the channel going, I do plan on making this my mission in life. And I have been working at that for the last year and a half, 2 years. So we're going to keep going. So thank you guys so much for tuning in today. And King Brother, life is beautiful. So I concur. So have a great day, everybody. We'll see you on the next one. And peace. Love you all.